Little Kitty Big City, the highly anticipated cat game where you play a miniature feline in a colossal metropolis. While succeeding in creating a fun-to-play, charming platformer, the game nails a cozy vibe amplified by its world, emotive gameplay, and vibrant cast of characters. Having closely followed the development for years, I was given an amazing chance to play it through to completion, and man, was it great. So these are my impressions, and this is the vibe of Little Kitty Big City. The premise is nice and simple. You're a cat, a lazy cat at that, one that fell from the nap that they sat. Suddenly they find themselves below. Say it ain't so. Now they need to return to where they were at. No convoluted storylines, no needless unravelling plot twists. The story, and by association the main quest, is as direct as return home. If you're already interested in this game at all, chances are this is exactly what you were hoping for. On your journey, you'll see the personality of the city reflected in its inhabitants found across the world. Each character has a unique personality based on the kinds of animal or insect it is. From hyperactive ducks to lazy cats to excitable dogs to pesky crows. However, it's through comical and often self-referential conversations with them that their personality flourishes. And that's before you've even had time to learn their names. One of the dogs is called Big Potato. I mean, just take my money. Technically, the conversation system really impresses me for some reason. Having followed the development of the game for years, Dagger Studios founder Matt T. Wood, who previously worked on Valve flagship titles like Half-Life 2, Portal 2 and Left 4 Dead, shared how it was done in a tweet, or post, or whatever you're supposed to call it now, where the screen is filled with a grid of cells, so that they can query and move the conversational bubbles between those cells that aren't taken up by the characters on the screen. Really cool. For some reason, it sticks with me, and hopefully an interesting peek behind the curtain. It's not just the characters that breathe charm into the world, however. It's also the gorgeously crafted models and animations. The few cutscenes had me in full awe of the animation talents of Mika Britweiser, who was able to bring such satisfying animation that perfectly fits the aesthetic. It bleeds over into gameplay too, where the animations ooze just as much character, but there's something about those cutscenes where the characters just give off so much life and energy. Of course, it wouldn't be a proper game about being a cat without cute hats to make your character look even more adorable. Paired with emotes and the ability to pick up objects, I literally carried a rubber duck all the way to the end of the game. The game tightly couples collectibles with the player's intrinsic drive to express themselves. The urgency to collect them is as deep as your personal investment in any particular cosmetic. That said, finding that one hat really does crank up the game's charm, much like the game's map, which, well, just look at it, it's bloody adorable. Presenting itself proudly as a childlike drawing, housed in a pause menu that stages the player character front and centre in all their fuzzy glory, in a seamless camera pan. We love a seamless camera pan. Everything from the little plucks as you move about the menu, the icons and its simplicity just complement each other so well. It perfectly fits the vibe of Little Kitty Big City. I love saying that name. So you're probably wondering, what's it like to control a little kitty? Pretty good. Controls are easy to remember and quick to grasp. Simplicity is something this game has mastered, if it wasn't obvious. Besides skills you learn along your journey, you've got the kitty cat basics. You've got your running, your sneaking, your meowing, and of course, your pouncing. Pouncing being the operative word, as jumping in this game is controlled through a trajectory rather than a simple button press. Although you can just press a button to quickly jump, you will find yourself actively fine-tuning where you want to land most of the time. If you happen to land on a human, take the opportunity to get a selfie or even be petted. Take that, can you pet the dog? Then bring balance to the world by tripping them over and stealing their phone. But there wouldn't be anywhere worth climbing or exploring if it wasn't for the colourful, towering cityscape, parted by maze-like roads and pathways, home to NPCs going about their lives. Shopkeepers busy with upkeep, businessmen travelling to work, fishermen fishing. There's always someone, somewhere, waiting to be tripped over. Environmental design was a challenge LKBC didn't even break a sweat with. It's built for purpose, with nothing feeling like it's been placed just for the sake of it. Each vent, vending machine and obstacle is placed not only with exploration in mind, but to encourage verticality. There's always something to find no matter the altitude, or a person's sense of privacy. The map may be physically smaller than some recent games of similar genre, but its density doesn't allow the player to acknowledge that before you've realised you've completed every single quest. And if you search hard enough, you'll come across one of the many serene locations laid bare to the soft, soothing warmth of the sun. A perfect location to park your arse and take a nap, complemented by a cosily calm soundtrack, contrasting to that heard in the bustling streets. You can already hear the 4-hour ambience compilations. But who knew traversing the city would feel so jazzy? As you bounce between rooftops helping those in need, Riley Koenig's score perfectly accompanies the sense of coziness the streets and its inhabitants of the big city foster, with some high energy pieces and those a little softer, even itching my jazzy spot. Moving on, we can't, however, forget one of the biggest contributors to that cozy vibe. The art style, instantly shining proud right from the get-go through the smooth blue gradient of the sky down to the distant city haze, shrouded by streaks of the gentle breeze. Yeah, it looks great. In terms of story, and without spoilers, don't worry, the more you do, the more you'll feel satisfied by the time it comes to return home. A little cryptic, but trust me, it's a nice way to round off the entire experience. While I loved my time with the game, I do have some feedback I feel could tighten the experience up just a little bit more. The game is a tad on the short side, especially for those gunning for the story. This does sort of tie into the idea of purpose-driven design. However, when you've completed everything the game has to offer, luckily you do feel like you're sort of done. Jumping could be fine-tuned just a tiny bit. Depending on the build, it might already be, but some jumps just feel a little difficult to pull off in certain situations, and same can be said for climbing down from ledges. Sneaking felt a little unutilised and could have been used in other areas of the game. Finally, and this is an absolute nitpick, it would be great to get the napping spot treatment using the nap emote. However, don't worry, it's not lost on me. I do have a sense of how annoying that would be to calculate where the camera would even go from wherever the player is without going the full brute force direction. So, not too much of an issue, or just something I thought would have been really cool. As I've probably made more than obvious at this point, LKBC doesn't force too much or too little into its design. Every element has a purpose, and once you learn that purpose, that's it. The game has and does exactly what it wants to do. And in a landscape where some games try to pack so much into such shallow design, or bodge their way into the dingy crypt of live service, LKBC is a refreshing experience that is unapologetically itself. And that couldn't be more admirable. Little Kitty, Big City is a fun, cosy, charming, colourful, beautifully animated escapade of a cat finding their way home. If that sounds like the sort of game that piques your interest, or excites you even a little bit, you might just enjoy it. I did, and I think you will too. A massive thank you to Dagger Studios and Popagenda for providing a Steam key for this game. Without you, literally wouldn't have a game to even review, to be honest. So, again, thank you. And thank you for watching.